You cancel again. Not because you're sick, not because something came up. You cancel because the idea of leaving your house feels like walking into static. You tell them you're tired, and you are, but not the kind of tired that sleep fixes. It's the kind that shows up when you imagine small talk, eye contact, figuring out where to stand. So you stay in, and the relief is immediate, but so is the guilt, because everyone else seems fine with it. Everyone else seems to want to go out, and you wonder if something's wrong with you, if maybe you're broken in a way that's hard to explain. But here's the thing, you're not broken. Your brain is just protecting you in the only way it knows how. Let's start here. Staying home isn't laziness. It's not introversion gone wrong. It's not you failing at life. It's your nervous system choosing the safest option in a world that often feels too loud, too fast, too much. And the people who don't feel this way, they're not better than you. Their brains just regulate differently. Yours needs more control, more predictability, more space to be still without performance. And that's not a flaw. That's just how you're wired. When you were younger, maybe staying home meant safety. Maybe it meant avoiding a parent's mood or escaping a social situation that felt like walking on glass. Maybe it meant being alone was easier than being misunderstood. So your brain learned home equals calm. The outside world equals risk. And even now, years later, when the actual danger is gone, the pattern remains because the brain doesn't forget what kept you safe. It just keeps running the same program, even when the threat has changed. There's a term in psychology called overstimulation, but that word doesn't do it justice. It's not just noise or crowds. It's the cumulative weight of being perceived, of managing your face, your energy, your presence, of answering questions you don't have answers to, of pretending you're fine when you're just holding it together. And home is the only place where you don't have to hold anything. You can let your face rest, let your mind wander, let yourself exist without explanation. That's not avoidance. That's nervous system regulation. That's your brain finally exhaling. Here's what most people don't understand. For some of us, socializing isn't energizing. It's a tax. Every interaction costs something. And it's not that you don't like people. It's that being around them requires a version of you that takes effort to maintain. The you that's friendly, engaged, appropriately responsive. The you that remembers to smile at the right moments and laugh at the right times. That version of you is real, but it's not restful. And when you've been performing it all day, all week, all month, the idea of doing it again, even for something fun, feels unbearable. So you stay home, and it feels like relief, like finally putting down something heavy, like your body can stop bracing. But then the guilt creeps in, because you see other people's lives online, dinner parties, spontaneous trips, group hangouts, and you wonder why you can't just be like that, why you need so much space, why you feel most like yourself when you're alone. But here's the part nobody tells you. The people who seem effortlessly social, they're not running the same internal program you are. Their brains aren't scanning for exits, aren't calculating how long they need to stay before it's polite to leave, aren't rehearsing conversations in advance just to feel prepared. They're not better at life. They just carry the same load. And you're not worse. You're just carrying more. And home is where you get to set it down. There's also this. Staying home gives you control. In a world that constantly demands your attention, your energy, your reaction, home is the one place where you set the terms. You choose the lighting, the noise level, the pace, whether you talk or stay silent, whether you engage or drift. And when so much of life feels like it's happening to you, that control matters. It's not small, it's not silly, it's foundational. And this is where it gets interesting, because the longer you stay home, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because you're weak, but because your brain starts to associate the outside world with discomfort and home with safety.
And once that loop is set, it reinforces itself. You cancel plans, you feel relief, your brain says, "See, we were right, staying home is safer." And next time, the threshold gets a little higher, the effort required feels a little heavier, until eventually the idea of going out feels almost impossible. But this isn't failure. This is your brain doing exactly what it's designed to do: minimize threat and maximize safety. The problem is, it's using outdated information. It's still running on the assumption that the outside world is as overwhelming as it once was, that people are as unpredictable, that you are as vulnerable. And maybe in some contexts that's still true, but not always, not everywhere, and your brain hasn't updated the algorithm yet. Here's something else. This behavior changes as you age. When you're younger, staying home might feel like missing out, like everyone else is living and you're just existing. But as you get older, it shifts. Staying home starts to feel less like avoidance and more like preference, less like fear and more like clarity, because you realize that your energy is finite, that your time is valuable, that not every invitation requires a yes, and choosing yourself, your rest, your peace, your space, isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. The truth is, people who like to stay home aren't running from life. They're protecting something. Maybe it's their energy. Maybe it's their sense of self. Maybe it's the version of them that only exists when no one's watching. And that version matters. It's not less real than the social version. It's not less worthy. It's just quieter, and it needs space to breathe. You're not broken. You're not failing. You're not missing some essential human part that makes other people okay with constant motion. You're just someone whose brain needs more stillness to function, more silence to think, more solitude to feel whole. And in a culture that glorifies busyness, that can feel like a defect, but it's not. It's just a different nervous system, a different threshold, a different way of moving through the world. So if you're someone who cancels plans, who turns down invitations, who feels most at peace when the door is locked and the world is somewhere else, you're not alone, and you're not wrong. You're just human, and your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, keeping you safe in the only way it knows how. Maybe one day that will shift, maybe it won't, but either way, you're okay, right here, right now, exactly as you are.
If you found this video valuable, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone you know who might find it interesting as well. We'll see you in the next video.